All right, 99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You guys already know what time it is. And right here, we are joined by a phenomenal bass player. That's right, we got Mike of On the Cinder right here, live on Punk World Radio FM this Saturday night. Mike, how are you doing out there tonight out there?
I'm doing pretty good. It's like nice and warm, which is freakish this time of year. Just had a good session in the studio and just got back from Canada and had a good time.
Hey man, I gotta say, Canada is definitely a good time, and down here as well, man, it is super warm as well. I know you guys go by Fahrenheit, but down here in Canada, obviously, Celsius, we had about plus 7 degrees today, man. I finally got to break out my spring jacket. It was definitely weird because it made me feel like it was kind of like late March, early April, but then I looked at my phone, I was like, man, it's like early February. This is really weird, but I'm not going to complain. I mean, Mother Nature can bless us a little bit more before she goes back to that cold weather.
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys have Punxsutawney Phil, like Canadian version up there?
We do, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, apparently he's only right like 37% of the time, so I don't know. I don't think anyone knows what's going on.
Hey man, I gotta say, before I would say I didn't believe in global warming, but I'm starting to lean towards global warming is definitely a thing, man, because how else can you explain this weather, man? At the end of the day, it has to be global warming.
Yeah, there's bad things going on to give us warmer weather right now, but that's for a bigger, like, it's a bigger argument, I guess, for another day, for a science class, really.
But when you said as well that you actually just got back from Canada, man, how was your guys' trip to Canada? Because I do know you guys went on a mini tour here of the Great White North, or I guess this time of year, Great Green North.
Yeah, it went really well. We've been coming up to Canada like once or twice a year, pretty steadily over the years. Like we've been a band since 2013, and Canada is right there from Buffalo. So. Yeah, this run was really cool. We went through a lot of our previous contacts that have helped our shows kind of grow, like bit by bit as we go over the years. Like it was really fun. We only did Ontario, and we didn't actually get as far east as Ottawa, but we went Toronto and then west from there.
Hey man, Toronto's a beautiful city, so I know you guys definitely enjoyed Toronto. It doesn't matter what time you go down Yonge Street, there's always something interesting to see or something interesting to do as well, man. Yonge Street has it all.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we played the Bovine Sex Club there, which had some pretty substantial shows, and they give little bands like us a shot during the week, and we put a cool show together. Some people came out on a Wednesday, which was a great sign, and it was a great way to start things off, for sure.
And I got to take you back to the beginning of On the Cinder as well, man. And I have to ask, how did you guys actually first meet and come together as one to form this band? Because I do know that, as you mentioned, 2013, you guys came together to form the band. But honestly, you guys have such an amazing history. You guys have done so many amazing things just these past, I would say, 11 years.
Mm-hmm. So we were all roommates in college at the University of Buffalo. And we're all doing separate bands. Here comes Jason now, it looks like. We're all in separate bands. Actually, Tyler, the drummer, and I were playing in a ska band, and Jason, the guitar player, was in a separate ska band. And we just kind of decided, we don't want to be in a band with 7 members each anymore. So the 3 of us were just like, yeah, we'll do a band with 3 people and can fit in one car. So that's what we did.
And also as well, guys, September, I gotta say, before we actually go into the next question, Jason, welcome, man. Glad to have you here tonight. But also, September 1st of 2013, you guys actually released the amazing 5-track EP titled Feed Them to the Children. Looking back almost 11 years, I was wondering if you can actually just tell us the story behind this earlier release project, and of course, is this actually still available to be streamed or purchased today? Because honestly, this album is killer.
I don't know. It's been a long time. Feed them to the children. I think it's on Bandcamp, but it's not on streaming services. I know that. The artwork for it is incredible. Renee Radwan, who's our dear friend and is actually doing the artwork for our next album, Heavy Handed. Like, she knocked it out of the park with the artwork. We were not long ago. We went back to those songs and like, what are these? What was on this album? And it was just an EP, something to have at the merch table, like our first batch of songs. And I there's CDs out there somewhere, but we are definitely out of them and never pressed it to vinyl because we were broke college students and didn't know what we were doing at that time.
Hey, honestly, in this scenario, if you're an On the Cinder fan and you need to get yourself that old copy, Discogs is always your best friend when it comes to situations like this, man. You always have that one person that's selling something on there, man. I've found CDs that I never even thought I would even imagine find. But then there's also some people that know these CDs are rare and they price them like 13 times more than what they actually should be.
Yeah, I think Jay is silent right now. Jay, I think you have to like activate your mic, but he's still there. He's working on it. Yeah, it might be out there. If a copy ever comes by me, I'll definitely buy it. Like, if I can come up with it.
Can you guys hear me now?
I can hear you great, Jason.
I've been talking for like 10 minutes, so I'm sorry.
Hey man, it's all good. It happens to the best of us. Technology definitely sucks at times, man. But hey, better late than never. Voice-wise, glad you're actually here with us, Jason.
Thank you for allowing me to get here. Sorry I'm late. I totally lost track of time. We've been recording a secret song. Unless, Mike, you already told him what it was.
No, I just said we were in the studio.
But I'm here now, and I'm glad to be a part. So what I said while I was just talking to myself, I don't think that album exists except for maybe in a very small number of people's collections. We did have one friend actually said he got our old 7-inch on eBay or something, maybe Discogs, but most of those things have been lost to time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say as well, the album is absolutely phenomenal. So, I mean, if you look hard enough, I'm pretty sure someone could probably find one of them on eBay, like you said, or Discogs. But yeah, especially an album that long ago, and especially with such an amazing DIY project like this, most people don't want to give it up either. It's probably deep in someone's collection, and they will not part with it.
Yeah.
You guys have also had the opportunity to actually open up for many legendary bands, with one of them actually being Authority Zero. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about that opportunity, and of course, what was it like just being able to open up for them? And did you get a chance to kick it with them before or after that? Before or after that show?
I think we've opened for Authority Zero like 3 times, and well, being from Buffalo, there's not a ton of bands, not a ton of competition, but we kind of just put ourselves together enough early on and worked through like previous connections to get with like production companies that were throwing those bigger shows. So Authority Zero, they do some ska, they do some reggae, but like coming from our background, even though we're like a straight up punk band, those promoters were like, "Oh, these guys would fit. This goes with their crowd." And we got to hang out with Authority Zero a little bit. Very nice.
They're some of the nicest guys I think I've ever met, honestly. We had a friend, Heather, who brought her young children to their first show, I think, was Authority Zero. And Jason, the singer, does this sort of, what is it? It's like a song about a bayou. I think it's like an old, like maybe a children's song or like a folk song. And he grabbed Heather's like 4-year-old daughter and threw her up on his shoulders and did the whole song with her on his shoulders. It was adorable and noble, all the good things.
It's like an Irish song, like the Buckland Bog. Is that what it is? Rutland Bog.
You Irish guys.
And I agree with both of you guys, man. Honestly, I had the opportunity to interview Jason and Chris, the singer and the drummer, and honestly, both of those guys are absolutely phenomenal, super nice guys. I can only imagine what it would be like to actually kick it with them backstage at one of their shows, but it definitely must have been a fun time, man.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But also, while we're on the topic of performances and whatnot, you guys also had the opportunity to perform at the iconic Vans Warp Tour. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about that opportunity, and of course, what is one of your most fondest memories you shared of just being a part of that tour? Because unfortunately, as we all know, the Vans Warp Tour is a thing of the past in history.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, one of our buddies, Kaiser, had some connections where he was able to orchestrate putting together sort of a local stage. And actually, I think the first year it was just in Buffalo, but it grew sort of a national. It grew to be a part of the National Warp Tour for a year or two. We us and a crew of like our ragtag band friends. I won't even say us because they mostly built the stage, put the tents up, did the sound. But it was kind of cool because we got to be like right next to the front gate, so it was almost like, for lack of a better way of putting it, they had to hear us, right?
Yeah, it was definitely like a glorified, like just local thing, but it was pretty neat. Like as Jay was saying, like this guy Kaiser put it together, and we were kind of the guinea pig the first year at the Buffalo location, and then the next year, Kaiser was looking to put a whole network of local bands together. So a lot of people we had toured around with and played in Texas and California and Florida, like we were able to connect those people with Kaiser to then they would build their local stage at the gate, and it worked out pretty well. We had a good network that helped, get some more bands in front of people and get some cool connections and Warped Tour. Be part of that history.
And did you guys get the opportunity to actually bump into any of the main acts as well during your time on those both of those Warp Tours, or was it just kind of like a in and out scenario?
I think there must have been a couple times where we ran into somebody. I there was kind of a joke where we kept speculating as to who the members of Guar were, when they're not in costume.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, that might be that guy. He looks like he could be in Guar. But
did you get to meet Kevin, Jay?
We did meet Kevin Lyman.
Kevin Lyman came out to the stage and like kind of mingled, and he did our friend's radio show, which unfortunately they did not get to record. It like their system died like before they could save anything. So Joe, I think so. Joe had an interview with Kevin Lyman, but it's lost to time, as Jay said before.
As a man, a part of the radio industry, that absolutely sucks when stuff like that happens. But at least he had got to have that opportunity to have Kevin in his studio and chat with them. Unfortunately, the recording is lost, but at least he got to have that experience to interview the founder of Vans Warp Tour, man. So at least no one can take that away from him. But unfortunately, he can't share the experience with anyone else as well.
Yeah, it's tragic. We got to watch the interview, but they just didn't hit record, or something failed. I don't know.
And also as well, September 16th of 2019, you guys actually released a killer album titled Lamplighter, where it was actually recorded at Rotten Metal Recordings and Flower House Studios alongside an amazing individual by the name of Joe. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about those studio sessions and what was it like just working alongside Joe for this particular release?
So Joe, so when we did the original EP that you had referred to, we're sort of learning to record DIY. Flower House Studios is sort of our home studio, which I've been sort of running, quote unquote, for I think the better part of 10 years now. I've gotten better at it since those days, but Joe has sort of always been like a recording mentor of mine, so to speak. He's always gone just a little bit further, and he's been He's got a little more experience. He's got some education in the subject, and he's a great engineer. Really killer dude. He's also done some music videos for us, so he's just sort of like an all-around media buff who happens to also be a metalhead. Really solid dude, and yeah, check out Rotten Metal Recordings. He's still going strong. He's still doing a lot of, I'd say, a pretty big percentage of the metal scene in Buffalo he's recording, and he just opened up a new space.
And I got to say as well, he definitely did a phenomenal job on this project, man. So I got to say, man, definitely hope that he actually does some more work with you guys. With this new album that you guys are currently working on, is Joe actually doing any work on this album as well, or is this a completely different individual you guys are working alongside?
Well, since not for lack of trying, but because our recording process is sort of all over the place, it's schedules, families, etc. It's pretty hard for us to actually go into a studio for a week and get a lot, I don't know, accomplished. So most of our recording these days is DIY at our space. Our tools, our knowledge has come a long way, and to be quite frank, when we can do it and save money to put toward the tour van or to the actual pressing of the record, why not?
A lot of like Joe's gear ends up in our studio.
Yeah, it's like, Joe's gear. It's just our space.
Yeah, we've had Joe's like drum cases for like a long time, years and years, and they just at this point have fallen off the truck for the production company he worked for, and they've never come asking for it. So Joe is a pretty integral part to what Jay has built in Flower House Studios and our road gear situation as it is anyway.
And I do know that this album, I actually read that is actually going to be titled Heavy Handed, that's dropping sometime this year in 2024. And obviously, this album is still in the works. Obviously, you guys can't let too many cats out of the bag. But from what you are allowed and, of course, are willing to talk about, what can the On the Cinder fans actually expect from this up-and-coming album release? Because I do know you guys already have not one, but two amazing killer singles already out, and they're doing amazing numbers on Spotify. So I can only imagine what you guys actually have when it comes towards Heavy Handed.
We've been playing these songs, like sprinkling them into our set for a little while. I think we played, was it 4 or 5 new ones on the whole Canada trip? So Canada was really like our, exposing them, kind of putting some miles on them. So songs are getting played even though they're not released yet. But the song American Spirit, which came out first, and Pure Meth just dropped this past week. They're going really well. We've gotten a lot of great feedback. And they've sort of shown the kind of the edges of what we're trying to do with this album. We've got some stuff that's faster, stuff that's heavier coming out beyond that. But these two first tracks are like good taste of the range we're going for with this next album.
I'll add that I think this record does sort of venture out in a lot of different paths, I guess, from like our sound into what he was saying, like heavier. But I think even though we've released a couple oddball ones, I think we're going to see most every song has kind of got a little bit of a different flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said you were performing these songs out here in Canada, how did the Canadian patrons actually just perceive your guys' new songs? Did they actually dig them?
Everyone's super nice. Like, I don't think they would tell us if they sucked, unless something bad happened, like we broke a string or forgot the lyrics. But the reception was awesome. There are definitely some really personal songs that we kind of have to break down some of the things we've hidden behind over the years. Like we've always written really emotional lyrics, very personal things, but there are moments in new songs that these feelings are very exposed, very like raw, and no one ever said anything bad about it. I think maybe someone said out loud, "Oh, that was sad," and that's totally what that song called for. Feeling sad, but just our way of kind of overcoming, sadness or darker feelings, just expressing it through song.
And then also, aside from Heavy-Handed, what is next for On the Cinder? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during this evening's interview? Anything else you guys still want to touch on, talk about, or promote? What's got you here live on 99.9 FM tonight?
Well, first I want to thank you for all the homework you did on our discography. So you've got an impressive interview. What else would we talk about? So we've got a West Coast tour coming up in June. We've got some stuff in New York City. When's the New York City festival?
Yeah, we're playing Music Fest here the last weekend of April. I believe it's April 29th. We're playing the Sunday. That's in Queens. On Monday, the music video for Pure Mess drops. So that'll be on YouTube, and we'll try to release it through various sites. Definitely going to be on Punk News. I got to get it along to like Dying Scene and Bad Copy and that. Like, we have friends at like each of these sites that have been super helpful with putting the singles out, and it's been awesome to just have friends that can, get stuff out, help promote it, and otherwise it's just us. Otherwise we're just like pushing it through social media and trying to spend as little money as we can until the pressing is paid for, which is soon. I think we're almost there. Got a lot of love from the pre-orders, and it's been a great community effort to support the next release. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. And I'll add that the practical effects on this music video are absolutely top notch. Definitely want to check it out.
And before we actually part ways here tonight, guys, obviously I know how to follow On the Cinder across all social media platforms, but for the individuals down here on the East Coast of Canada that might just be discovering you guys here tonight, how do they go about following not only On the Cinder as a band itself, but of course you guys as individual members across all social media platforms as well?
We're on all the big ones: Instagram, Facebook. I have a TikTok that I'm really bad with. That's out there on the Cinder. I don't know, Jay, do you have an X? I don't have an X.
I think the band does, but I don't think we've used it in a good few years. The nice thing about our name, though, is you can Google it. We'll come up.
Yeah, no one else would be called On the Cinder. Nobody would think of that.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, Mike, Jason, thank you so much for giving not only myself, but the 99.9 Punk World Radio FM listeners a bit of your time here this Saturday night. It was an honor speaking with both of you. Definitely safe travels as well to your guys' up-and-coming shows, man. I'm definitely looking forward to this amazing album when it does drop later on this year in 2024. Just thank you so much for your guys' time, man, and hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Absolutely. Cheers.
Hey, man, definitely. Cheers, guys. Have yourself a wonderful night.
Thank you.